This is what victory feels like. Yeah!
For years, Elon Musk has dominated the world of innovation, his empire stretching across electric vehicles, space travel, brain chips, and clean energy. A visionary, a disruptor, a genius, his every move sends shockwaves through global markets, sometimes with nothing more than a tweet. But what if his reign were suddenly challenged, not by another Silicon Valley billionaire, but by a little-known African inventor with a game-changing technology? Rumors across the internet are growing louder. Tesla is in trouble. An African inventor is making cars, bikes, and electronics with new technology.
Microsonic energy device, it is the device that I personally invented in 2009.
If true, this could be the kind of disruption that reshapes the entire future of energy and transportation. So, what is actually happening? And can Elon Musk's Tesla survive? Let's find out. A new challenger approaches. For decades, the billionaire hierarchy has been a battleground dominated by familiar names: Elon Musk, Jeff Bezos, and Bernard Arnault, jockeying for the top spot. Yet, history has proven that dominance in the tech and energy sectors is anything but permanent. Stock market crashes, regulatory crackdowns, and technological breakthroughs can rearrange the rankings overnight. Enter a new disruptor, one who doesn't hail from Silicon Valley or Wall Street, but from an unexpected corner of the world. Maxwell Chikumbutso, a Zimbabwean inventor, has developed a technology so radical that it threatens to upend not just Tesla's dominance, but the very foundations of modern energy and transportation. So, what does this man of the hour have to offer? And how big of a deal is it really? Maxwell Chikumbutso's journey defies convention. Born in Zimbabwe, a country with limited access to high-tech research institutions and venture capital, he is entirely self-taught. Lacking formal engineering degrees or elite university credentials, he relied on raw ingenuity and an unrelenting drive to push past the boundaries of conventional science. By 2015, he had already gained global attention by inventing what seemed impossible: an electric-powered vehicle that requires no external charging, no fuel, and no solar panels. Chikumbutso's design taps into ambient energy, extracting power from electromagnetic waves present in the environment. This means unlimited range, zero reliance on the grid, and a complete departure from the lithium-ion battery dependency that underpins Tesla and other EV manufacturers. Or so he claims. You see, Chikumbutso's claims have often been met with skepticism. In any case, the implications of such a breakthrough are staggering. If widely adopted, this self-sustaining energy technology could dismantle the trillion-dollar fossil fuel industry, eliminate the need for charging stations, and make renewable energy sources like solar and wind look obsolete in comparison. Tesla, a company built on the promise of sustainable transport, could find itself facing the ultimate irony, being rendered obsolete by an even more advanced green technology. The automotive sector isn't the only one at risk. Power companies, battery manufacturers, and even national energy grids could all be disrupted. If Chikumbutso's self-powering vehicle proves scalable and commercially viable, it would represent the most significant energy revolution since the discovery of electricity itself. While this tech may be new, the drive for better, greener energy is not. This is where many have built their fortunes. Elon Musk built Tesla on the promise of revolutionizing transportation through electric vehicles, making gas-powered cars obsolete. But if Maxwell Chikumbutso's self-powering technology delivers on its claims, Tesla itself could become outdated. The Cybertruck, once touted as the future of rugged electric transport, may no longer be necessary if a vehicle can run indefinitely without charging. Tesla's vast network of superchargers, which powers its growing fleet, could suddenly become an expensive relic. The company's dependence on lithium-ion batteries, already criticized for environmental and ethical concerns, would be rendered pointless in a world where vehicles no longer require external energy inputs. Jeff Bezos has similarly spent billions positioning Amazon as a leader in renewable energy. The company has pledged to reach 100% clean energy by 2020, investing heavily in solar and wind farms to power its data centers and supply chain. But all of that could be upended if Chikumbutso's technology proves viable. Bill Gates has also made climate change one of his biggest priorities, investing in nuclear power, green hydrogen, and large-scale infrastructure projects to transition the world away from fossil fuels. His company, Terra Power, is pushing advanced nuclear reactors as a long-term solution, but Chikumbutso's technology could make even that look unnecessary. A power source that eliminates the need for massive plants, transmission lines, and complex energy storage systems would fundamentally shift the landscape of green energy. Gates has advocated for government-backed innovation to scale climate solutions, but if self-sustaining energy is real, the need for slow-moving billion-dollar investments in infrastructure could vanish overnight. But before we move on to the technical details, let's see what has the man claimed. Chikumbutso's claims. Maxwell, Chikumbutso's innovations extend far beyond self-powered vehicles. One of his most astonishing breakthroughs is a self-sustaining television that does not require an external power source. Unlike conventional TVs that rely on electrical outlets or batteries, this device operates entirely on environmental energy, specifically by harnessing radio frequencies. The potential impact of self-powered technology reaches far beyond personal convenience. Millions of people live in areas with unreliable electricity, and for them, Chikumbutso's inventions could be life-changing. Disaster-stricken regions often face extended power outages that cut off communication and entertainment, leaving people isolated and uninformed. A television that runs indefinitely without an external power source could provide critical updates in emergencies, maintaining a vital link to the outside world. Families struggling with high energy costs would no longer have to choose between essential expenses and entertainment. In countries where the cost of electricity is prohibitively high, this technology could open the door to media accessibility for those who have never been able to afford it before. Chikumbutso's ambitions didn't stop at individual devices. He envisioned complete energy independence for homes. His most advanced creation, the Microsonic Energy Device, or MSED, is a compact system designed to generate continuous power without relying on traditional energy sources. Unlike solar panels or wind turbines, MSED does not depend on weather conditions or external fuel. Instead, it draws power from ambient radio frequencies, magnetic fields, and atmospheric heat. This means that homes could run entirely off-grid, without the need for fossil fuels, costly electrical infrastructure, or government-controlled energy supplies. If scalable, this could mark the beginning of a new era in which individuals have full control over their own energy production. The global implications of MSED technology are staggering. In regions where electricity infrastructure is either non-existent or too expensive to implement, this innovation could provide an immediate and cost-effective solution. Many developing nations struggle with electrification due to the immense cost of power grids and distribution networks. But if households could generate their own energy independently, the need for these large-scale projects would disappear. Even in developed urban areas, the widespread adoption of MSED could dramatically reduce electricity bills and significantly lower carbon emissions. For countries that frequently experience blackouts or rely heavily on imported energy, self-sustaining power technology could provide long-term energy security, making them less vulnerable to infrastructure failures and global energy crises. But you know how they say, if something is too good to be true, it probably is. Debunking Chikumbutso's miracle inventions. In a series of high-profile demonstrations, including one attended by Zimbabwean President Emerson Mnangagwa, Maxwell Chikumbutso unveiled what he claimed to be a self-propelled car and motorcycle that could run indefinitely without the need for fuel or external charging. According to Chikumbutso, the vehicles could achieve a top speed of 220 kilometers per hour while also generating up to 15 kilowatts of excess power. For context, this is enough to sustain an entire household. However, a closer examination of his claims reveals a troubling pattern of inconsistencies, scientific implausibilities, and a lack of verifiable evidence. Independent investigations, including those conducted by PR Nigeria and ZimEye, have exposed his so-called free energy vehicle as nothing more than a conventional electric vehicle, repackaged with standard lithium-ion batteries sourced from Chinese manufacturers. At the heart of Chikumbutso's supposed breakthrough is the claim that his technology harvests energy from ambient radio frequencies and converts it into usable power on a large scale. However, this assertion runs directly counter to well-established scientific principles, particularly the first law of thermodynamics, which states that energy cannot be created or destroyed, only converted from one form to another. While energy harvesting from radio waves is a real phenomenon, it is only viable for ultra-low power applications, such as radio frequency identification or RFID chips, which are small wireless sensors. The amount of energy present in radio frequency waves is measured in nanovolts, an amount far too insignificant to power a moving vehicle, let alone a high-performance car. Despite these glaring contradictions, Chikumbutso has never provided peer-reviewed data or allowed independent scientific verification of his claims. Instead, he frequently invokes vague explanations about proprietary trade secrets and suggests that attempts to patent his inventions have been blocked due to suppression by powerful interests. Further scrutiny of Chikumbutso's track record raises additional doubts about his credibility. Over the years, he has made sweeping declarations about game-changing technologies, including self-powered televisions, home energy devices, and military drones, yet none have been independently validated or commercially produced at scale. In several instances, prototypes showcased in controlled demonstrations were later dismantled or disappeared from public view, raising suspicions that they were either non-functional or relied on concealed power sources. Some skeptics suspect that his vehicles may have been outfitted with hidden batteries, allowing them to appear self-sustaining for short periods before running out of stored energy. When questioned about the feasibility of his inventions, he simply retorts with claims of personal persecution, such as alleging that he was poisoned while in the United States. However, these claims lack any independent verification and seem to serve as convenient distractions only. In fact, the pattern of Chikumbutso's claims bears striking similarities to previous free energy scams that have captivated investors and the public before ultimately collapsing under scrutiny. One of the most infamous cases was that of Stanley Meyer, who in the 1990s claimed to have developed a water-powered car that could split water molecules into hydrogen and oxygen using minimal energy. Meyer attracted significant funding before being exposed as a fraud in court, where experts demonstrated that his invention was based on deceptive claims rather than genuine technological breakthroughs. Similarly, the history of so-called magnetic generators, which were devices capable of producing unlimited energy through perpetual motion, has been littered with fraudulent schemes that crumbled when subjected to independent testing. Given the lack of verification, the inconsistencies in Chikumbutso's claims, and the long history of similar fraudulent schemes, it is highly likely that his so-called self-sustaining energy technology is either an exaggerated misrepresentation of existing technologies or an outright hoax designed to attract funding and political backing. While his work has garnered political endorsements, including from President Mnangagwa, there has been no validation from any established scientific institution or independent engineering body. Without transparent, peer-reviewed evidence, his claims remain unsubstantiated, and history suggests that they are more likely to join the long list of energy scams than to revolutionize the world. So, Tesla is safe, right? Well, no. Tesla is indeed in trouble. Big trouble. Tesla's worries are not over. Once a trailblazer in the electric vehicle market, Tesla is currently navigating a series of challenges that have significantly impacted its market position and brand perception. In 2023, Tesla reported vehicle deliveries of 1.8 million units, marking a 38% increase from the previous year. However, recent data indicates a downturn in key markets. Notably, Tesla's sales in Europe and the United Kingdom have experienced a sharp decline, with figures nearly halving in January 2025. This drop has led to a substantial decrease in the company's stock value, bringing its valuation below $1 trillion for the first time since November 2024. CEO Elon Musk's active involvement in political affairs has further complicated Tesla's standing. His appointment as the leader of the Department of Government Efficiency, or DOGE, under President Donald Trump's administration has been met with mixed reactions. This role, coupled with Musk's support for controversial policies, has sparked public protests and a movement known as the Tesla takedown. Demonstrations have occurred at Tesla dealerships across the United States and Europe, with protesters urging the public to divest from Tesla by selling their vehicles and stocks. The current administration's imposition of tariffs on imports from Canada, the European Union, and China has introduced additional uncertainties for Tesla. These tariffs could disrupt supply chains and increase production costs, potentially affecting Tesla's pricing strategy and competitiveness in these regions. Moreover, Musk's public disagreement with Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky has attracted criticism, further influencing public sentiment and consumer behavior. This is not all. It gets even wilder. Musk's attempt to dismiss 77,000 federal employees as part of governmental efficiency measures was blocked by the Supreme Court, highlighting legal and ethical concerns surrounding his approach to governance. This incident has contributed to public dissatisfaction and has been a focal point in protests against both Musk and Tesla. The convergence of these factors has led to a consumer backlash against Tesla. Reports indicate that some Tesla owners are selling their vehicles and displaying stickers to distance themselves from the company's current image. The Tesla takedown movement exemplifies this sentiment. It would be an understatement to say that Tesla is facing one of the most turbulent periods in its history. The decline in Tesla's sales is not a sudden phenomenon, but rather the culmination of a downward trend that began in 2023. Even then, the company's once explosive growth was slowing significantly. By the fourth quarter of 2023, Tesla delivered 484,507 vehicles, a mere 20% increase from the previous year, a stark contrast to the 50% year-over-year growth it had once maintained. Meanwhile, Chinese automaker BYD was rapidly closing the gap. In the same quarter, BYD delivered 526,409 battery electric vehicles, officially overtaking Tesla in global BEV sales for the first time. By the end of 2023, BYD had sold over 3 million new energy vehicles, including hybrids, cementing its position as the world's largest manufacturer of electrified cars. This shift marked the beginning of a new competitive landscape, where Tesla was no longer the undisputed leader in the EV market. Now, Tesla's struggles have only intensified. The company now finds itself grappling with a host of external and internal challenges, from market boycotts to plummeting stock prices. Musk's actions have sparked backlash in key Tesla markets, including the United States, Canada, and the European Union. In these regions, once loyal customers have begun distancing themselves from the brand, with some Tesla owners even placing stickers on their vehicles to clarify that they purchased them before Musk's political involvement. The impact on sales has been dramatic. While there was a brief uptick in US sales in February, overall year-to-date figures remain concerning. In Europe, Tesla's performance has been even worse. In Germany, sales dropped a staggering 6% year-over-year in February, contributing to an overall 45% decline across the continent in January. Meanwhile, the Chinese market, once seen as a major driver of Tesla's future growth, is also faltering as domestic competitors like BYD, NIO, and XPeng continue to dominate with more affordable and technologically advanced offerings. The financial outlook for Tesla is just as bleak. Baird analysts now predict Tesla's first quarter deliveries will reach only 369,400 vehicles, 16% below Wall Street's consensus estimate of 437,500. This shortfall has rattled investors, contributing to a steep decline in Tesla's stock price, which has fallen 40% from its post-US election high. Once a symbol of aggressive expansion and disruptive innovation, Tesla is now showing signs of stagnation. Revenue growth is sluggish, and its market share continues to shrink in crucial regions like China and Europe. Musk's political controversies are also alienating a core segment of Tesla's consumer base. We're talking about environmentally conscious and progressive buyers who once saw the company as a beacon of sustainability and innovation. Tesla is not the only Musk-associated venture facing difficulties. SpaceX's Starlink satellite internet service is also experiencing setbacks, particularly in Europe. Recent diplomatic tensions between Ukrainian President Volodymyr Zelensky and the Trump administration have complicated Starlink's standing in the region. With European leaders increasingly wary of the US's position on the Ukraine conflict, government support for Starlink has waned. Meanwhile, competitors are seizing the opportunity to further erode Tesla's dominance. BYD, now the world's largest new energy vehicle manufacturer, is expanding aggressively in Europe, introducing more affordable models tailored to European consumer preferences. German automakers like Volkswagen and BMW are accelerating their EV rollouts, aiming to capture market share as Tesla struggles. Even legacy American automakers, such as General Motors and Ford, are adapting to the evolving landscape with more competitive pricing and expanded EV lineups. As Tesla grapples with its declining brand appeal and increasing political entanglements, the road ahead looks anything but smooth. Now, back to Africa. Africa is on the rise. In recent years, Africa's automotive landscape has undergone a transformation, with Chinese companies emerging as pivotal players in shaping the continent's production capacity, technology adoption, and transition towards sustainable mobility. This shift is driven by large-scale investments in manufacturing plants, strategic partnerships, and technology transfers that position African nations not just as consumers, but as active participants in the global automotive supply chain. Among the most notable players, Chinese firms such as BAIC, FAW, and BYD have made substantial inroads, establishing production and assembly facilities across key markets. In South Africa, BAIC's multi-billion rand plant in the Koiga Special Economic Zone rolls out locally assembled vehicles. These initiatives are reinforced by high-level diplomatic engagements such as the Forum on China-Africa Cooperation, or FOCAC, through which China has pledged billions of dollars in investments. Unlike past large-scale projects that prioritized grandeur over functionality, China's recent strategy has focused on small and beautiful investments. A significant portion of these investments is channeled into the production of new energy vehicles, an area where China holds a dominant position in global markets. The push for green mobility in Africa aligns with China's broader Belt and Road Initiative, which integrates industrial expansion with sustainability objectives. Assembly lines dedicated to electric vehicles and hybrid models are gradually taking root, facilitating a shift away from the continent's long-standing dependence on imported internal combustion engine vehicles. South Africa, already a powerhouse in vehicle production, is at the forefront of this transition. The country's automotive sector, historically driven by legacy manufacturers like Toyota, Volkswagen, and Mercedes-Benz, has consistently expanded its production capabilities, exporting vehicles worth billions annually. In 2018 alone, South Africa's car exports reached approximately $6.89 billion, a figure that has grown steadily, with 2023 marking a record year with nearly 400,000 units shipped abroad. Beyond South Africa, other African nations are rapidly enhancing their automotive production ecosystems, aided by a wave of infrastructure investments that reduce logistical constraints and improve overall competitiveness. In Algeria, the government's collaboration with Chinese firms has catalyzed the development of vast highway networks, making large-scale manufacturing and distribution more feasible. The extensive East-West Highway, for instance, has not only facilitated intra-African trade, but also encouraged foreign automakers to consider local assembly operations as part of broader economic diversification strategies. Ethiopia and Kenya, on the other hand, are pioneering urban transport projects that incorporate electric buses and rail systems. The combination of upgraded infrastructure, capital inflows, and policy incentives is gradually positioning Africa to transform from a net importer of automobiles to an emerging automotive exporter. One of the most ambitious blueprints for this transition is South Africa's Automotive Master Plan, or SAM 2035, which envisions an annual production of 1.4 million vehicles, roughly 1% of global vehicle output. If achieved, this target would elevate South Africa's standing in the automotive sector while creating ripple effects across the continent, fostering deeper regional integration under the African Continental Free Trade Area, or AfCFTA. This trade agreement is poised to double Africa's export potential for locally assembled vehicles, reducing the dominance of used car imports, which have long stifled domestic manufacturing growth. Furthermore, Morocco is emerging as another key player, with government-backed investments already attracting billions of dollars into its automotive sector. With a goal of producing up to 1 million vehicles annually, Morocco exemplifies the continent's growing capacity to support high-volume, high-value vehicle manufacturing. The strategic expansion of Chinese automakers in Africa is not limited to final vehicle assembly. It extends to the entire automotive supply chain, including the production of essential components and the development of enabling technologies for electric vehicles. Given Africa's vast reserves of lithium, cobalt, and other critical minerals required for battery manufacturing, the continent is uniquely positioned to play a central role in the global electric vehicle revolution. Chinese giants like BYD are already exploring joint ventures that would leverage these resources while fostering knowledge transfer and workforce development. This alignment not only strengthens Africa's competitiveness in EV production, but also lays the groundwork for a self-sustaining automotive ecosystem capable of scaling up to global standards. Parallel to these industrial advancements, several African nations are enacting policy reforms aimed at curbing used vehicle imports and boosting local manufacturing. Recent legislative efforts in South Africa and Morocco, for instance, are designed to increase the percentage of locally sourced components in vehicles, while incentivizing research and development in emerging automotive technologies. Such policies are crucial in creating a regulatory environment that favors domestic production over reliance on foreign imports. In Morocco, for example, targeted tax incentives and streamlined investment processes have significantly accelerated industrial growth, positioning the country as one of the leading automotive hubs on the continent. These measures reflect a broader continental ambition to shift Africa's role in the global automotive industry from a passive consumer base to an exporter. But what about Chikumbutso's claims? Even if he is a fraud, are the principles behind his claims accurate? Let's find out. Microsonic energy technology. Is it even possible? The basis of microsonic energy technology lies in the omnipresence of radio frequency signals, emitted from sources such as radio and television, broadcast stations, mobile networks, Wi-Fi routers, and satellite transmissions. These signals, while carrying only minuscule amounts of energy, can be intercepted and converted into direct current electricity through specialized rectifying antennas, or rectennas. Traditional radio frequency energy harvesting has already demonstrated the ability to provide power in the microwatt to milliwatt range, sufficient for operating ultra-low power devices, such as wireless sensors and Internet of Things applications. However, the theoretical leap proposed by microsonic energy devices, or MSED, suggests a breakthrough in efficiency, potentially allowing for energy capture at the nanovolt level and amplification to power more demanding applications. The core innovation behind the MSED concept would involve an advanced array of miniaturized antennas precisely tuned to resonate with specific radio wave frequencies. These antennas would be integrated with ultra-sensitive rectifier circuits, capable of converting even the weakest ambient signals into usable energy. Additionally, sophisticated converters would play a crucial role in stepping up the voltage to a level that could sustain electronic devices beyond the ultra-low power category. In controlled laboratory experiments, researchers affiliated with institutions such as MIT, Stanford, and the University of Cambridge have made significant strides in optimizing rectenna efficiency. Some experimental setups have successfully harvested radio frequency energy from multiple frequency bands, storing it in supercapacitors or micro batteries to ensure a more stable and continuous power supply. However, even in these cases, the power output remains relatively low. Despite periodic claims of revolutionary radio frequency-based energy solutions, no credible peer-reviewed scientific research has demonstrated a working MSED or any similar device capable of generating power on a kilowatt scale. Most verifiable research efforts remain focused on optimizing radio frequency energy harvesting for small-scale applications, such as medical implants, wireless sensors, and smart wearables. Some high-profile claims, such as those surrounding Maxwell Chikumbutso's supposed breakthrough in radio frequency-based free energy, have been widely criticized by physicists for falsehood. But that is not to say that Africa is not making bold strides forward. Tech sector success and other good news. From Africa, Africa's technological revolution is unfolding at an unprecedented pace, fueled by a youthful, digitally savvy population, skyrocketing mobile connectivity, and deepening internet penetration. These factors have converged to create a thriving startup ecosystem across key innovation hubs like Lagos, Nairobi, Cape Town, and Accra. Within these cities, a new breed of entrepreneurs is tackling Africa's unique challenges with homegrown solutions in fintech, e-commerce, renewable energy, and health tech. Fintech, in particular, has led the charge in reshaping financial inclusion. M-Pesa's groundbreaking success in Kenya transformed mobile banking, giving millions of unbanked individuals access to transactions, savings, and credit through their phones. Building on this foundation, startups like Paystack, Flutterwave, and Interswitch have revolutionized digital payments. Africa's digital transformation is also being fueled by affordable smartphones, expanding internet infrastructure, and significant investments in fiber optic networks and data centers, making connectivity more accessible. This shift is driving digital literacy, e-commerce, fintech, and innovation in agri-tech, ed-tech, and health tech, enabling startups to address everyday challenges and bridge logistical gaps. Governments are introducing pro-tech policies, while initiatives like AFCFTA are fostering cross-border tech opportunities. Global tech giants and investors are supporting this momentum, recognizing Africa's leapfrogging approach to adopting next-gen technologies. Sustainability is also a key focus, with green innovations tackling energy and environmental challenges. As the sector grows, Africa is not only driving job creation and economic growth, but also reshaping the global digital landscape. One of the most significant forces shaping Africa's economic landscape is China, whose deep investments in infrastructure, trade, and technology have set the stage for Africa's rise. Unlike the Western powers that historically sidelined the continent, China has pursued an aggressive, strategic engagement with Africa, financing and building transformative projects across rail, road, and port networks. The Addis Ababa Light Rail in Ethiopia, largely funded by the Chinese Export-Import Bank, is just one example of Beijing's infrastructure-driven approach to strengthening African economies. Platforms like the Forum on China-Africa Cooperation have solidified political alliances, built on principles of mutual respect and non-interference, reinforcing China's foothold in the region. China's strategy is to integrate Africa into global supply chains. By establishing industrial parks and special economic zones, China is positioning African nations as manufacturing hubs, creating jobs and stimulating local economies while securing its own supply chain routes. This symbiotic relationship ensures that African markets remain vital trade partners, especially in times of global economic turbulence. The geopolitical implications of China's deep ties with Africa are profound. In an era of rising tensions, especially over Taiwan, China's investments serve as a buffer against potential Western economic sanctions. Should Beijing face trade restrictions from the West, Africa provides an alternative market for Chinese goods and raw materials, ensuring economic continuity. Over the past 2 decades, China-Africa trade has surged from $11.67 billion in 2000 to a staggering $282 billion in 2023. Chinese direct investments in Africa now exceed $40 billion, fueling growth in mining, manufacturing, and infrastructure, while generating over 1 million local jobs in just the last 3 years. China is not just investing, it is future-proofing its global influence. African manufacturing hubs can supply competitively priced goods to global markets, helping China maintain its export dominance even in the face of Western trade barriers. While the fraudulent stories of figures like Maxwell Chikumbutso are demotivating and disappointing, they also refine the scientific process, reinforcing the necessity of peer review and empirical validation. The digital age amplifies both misinformation and the ability to debunk it, ensuring that innovation progresses on a solid foundation. Africa, with its youthful energy and entrepreneurial drive, is now shaping the global digital landscape, proving that technological leadership is no longer confined to traditional power centers. Well, that's it for now. Thanks for watching. Did you like this video? If you did, please consider liking, dropping a comment, and hitting the subscribe button so that you don't miss out on our new uploads. Also, don't miss this video you see on your screen right now. It's truly unbelievable.